This week, it is also the 20th anniversary of the 1994 bombing of Argentina's Jewish community center that killed 85 people and wounded hundreds, becoming the country's deadliest bombing ever. Iran is the prime suspect in the attack, yet a committee was established between Iran and Argentina last year to investigate the bombing. The perpetrators have yet to be brought to justice. An Argentinian delegation was in Israel last week for a series of ceremonies to mark this tragic day in Jewish history. We now have Roxana Levinson on the line, an Israeli-Argentinian who lost her uncle in the terror attack 2 years after losing her aunt in a bombing of the Israeli embassy in Buenos Aires in 1992. Hi Roxana, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
What do you remember from the day of the bombing?
Well, when the bomb attack on the Israeli embassy in Buenos Aires took place on March 1992, it was a month before my second son was supposed to be born, but he was born 1 week later. My aunt, Graciela Levinson, was killed in that attack when she was about to finish her working day and coming back home. And then on July 18, 1994, I was also pregnant. In the 7th month, I heard the news of the explosion, and it was after something like that felt like an earthquake through the city of Buenos Aires. And as it was pretty close, I went to the place and I walked there, looking for my uncle, of course. And I only remember bits of glass falling from the buildings, and the smell, a terrible smell that I will never forget. After the phone call, I was told that my uncle was killed, and I do not remember anything that happened in the next 2 hours after that phone call.
What can you tell us about your uncle?
My uncle, Jaime Plaksin, worked in the Jewish community for nearly 40 years. He devoted his professional life to Jewish education, to Hebrew language, the values of Judaism, Torah, Kabbalah. He was very dedicated and very serious. But at the same time, with family, he was very funny. He was a great father who always had a kind word and a good advice for his children and also for his nephews. And what I can say that what I miss most about him is his laugh, irreplaceable laugh. And nowadays he has grandsons and granddaughters that he never met, and I'm sure he would be very proud of them.
And what impact did these incidents have upon your life?
What happened first in 1992 and then in 1994, I can say that it changed us forever. We were a family with a simple and nice life. The best thing was the time we spent together, to be together, enjoying meals, Sundays, family celebrations, and we were very active in the Jewish community life and very Zionist, and we have paid for it dearly. A few years ago, when my father was very sick, in his last days of agony, he could not bear if the nurse closed the railing of his hospital bed, asked desperately to open it, and when the bomb will explode, I will not be able to get out from under the rubble, he used to scream. And it happened more than 15 years after the bomb attacks, here in Israel. And not only my family, for each family, I think pain, sadness, frustration and suffering, even fatigue had become part of daily life.
I understand that this delegation is here not only to commemorate the victims, but also to demand justice. How do you think justice can be achieved?
The delegation from AMIA, the Jewish community, came to Israel to honor the victims, and also to honor and thank the Israeli rescuers and the Israeli police that helped to pull the survivors from the rubble. And Ariel Cohen-Savan, one of the leaders of the community that came in, leading the delegation, said, "We will never forget the perpetrators of the attack that killed 85 people, but we will never forget that Israel helped us. And I think this is a very strong message that can show how the Jewish community of Buenos Aires feels. And about justice, it's very hard to say it, but I don't know if we still have time for justice. If there is something that can be proved after 20 years, too many lies, manipulations, and no answers. The only clear fact is that no one is paying with his freedom for so many lives, 85, and so many injured people. I am completely away from Argentina, but I think that someone would have to clean the case of any kind of political influence, of any interest that is not justice, because the terrorism from the Middle East that came to Argentina had local partners. Argentina, in my opinion, owes justice mainly to their own people to find the real perpetrators, judge them, and apply the appropriate penalty. Not only because the victims deserve justice, but because a country has no future with impunity and without justice.
Thank you so much for your time, Roxana.
Thank you. Thank you for this time and space for the victims of the terrorism in Argentina.
That's all we have time for today. Join us next week for more behind the headlines insights from the Jerusalem Post, Israel's leading English language news source. I'm Tamara Zeeb.